What's up everybody? In last week's video, we spoke about whether to buy now or wait 6 to 12 months. We took a look at what the experts were saying and I gave you my opinion as well. Well, this week we're going to look at Zillow and Redfin's bold predictions for the real estate market in 2022. We're going to look at the two and compare them and see where they really differ and where they sort of agree. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Both Redfin and Zillow have their own research departments and pride themselves on their technology, so you would think their predictions should hold some credibility, but I'll let you decide in the end. I do have to point out that Zillow in particular has gotten their Zestimates wrong many times in my 18 years of real estate. I can't tell you how many times I had to look at a seller's disappointed face after I showed them real comps, real data that didn't support the Zestimate, aka Zillow's value of their house, which was a much higher price. Or I had buyers that felt like they were getting ripped off because they were paying much more than the Zestimate said the house was worth. Zillow had never been in the house and real data just contradicted what they said. But I digress. Let's get back to the bold predictions. First bold prediction is that Redfin predicts that we will have a more balanced housing market in 2022. They go on to say that they don't expect a buyer's market, just a little bit of a slower pace and less frenzy. They do think that the first half of the year that'll still be very competitive, but it will slow down towards the end of 2022. Zillow, on the other hand, expects 2022 to be just short of record-breaking. They expect to see the continuation of a seller's market in 2022 and see bidding wars on many homes, especially as we get into the spring and summer season. Which leads me right into the next bold prediction, which Redfin says that in 2022, home price growth will slow to 3%. Zillow's forecast calls for an 11% home value growth in 2022. That's a big difference in opinion. Really, the only two things that they actually agree on so far is that home prices will increase, but 3% versus 11%? I don't even know how you get to such a big difference in number if you're doing all of your research. It's probably going to be somewhere in the middle. But let's move on. Redfin says new listings will hit a 10-year high, but it will hardly make a dent in the ongoing supply shortage. They go on to say in 2022, new listings will surpass the 2018 high of 7.6 million homes, setting a new record going back to at least 2012. Their philosophy is that as the market becomes more balanced, homeowners will find it less daunting to list their homes while looking for a new home to buy. They even go on to say that they think that home sale contingencies will come back to play in the market in 2022. In other words, a home seller can buy a house contingent upon selling his existing home. I have to say, I honestly do not agree with this at all. I just don't see any seller accepting a contract contingent upon the buyer selling their home. At least not here in the DC, Maryland area. I just don't see it happening in 2022. Zillow says that existing home sales are predicted to total 6.36 million compared to the 6.12 million of 2021. And like I said, they believe that 2022 is going to continue to be a seller's market, and definitely they do not believe there will be any contracts that will be accepted with a home sale contingency. The next bold prediction has to do with new construction. Redfin thinks that builders will still continue to have roadblocks, which will keep them from reaching their full potential in 2022. They go on to say that labor shortages, lot delays, and supply chain challenges are going to make it more expensive and harder to build new homes in 2022. They do think that new home inventory should increase from 2021's bottom, but they still anticipate that the market will remain undersupplied. Zillow says that new construction gains will only be a drop in the bucket despite the best intentions of the builders. So they kind of agree when it comes to new construction. Zillow says there's been a shortfall of 1.35 million homes since the housing crash in 2008. They believe that home builder confidence is sky high and builders are doing everything they can to get these homes built. But like Redfin said, due to labor shortages and supply chain issues, they're just having a hard time. So really, this is the first thing, in my opinion, that Zillow and Redfin really see eye to eye on as far as new construction and the supply in 2022. Moving on to rents, Redfin thinks that rent prices are going to increase by 7% by the end of 2022, which is more than double than they think of the home price growth of 3%. Redfin just thinks that the rental market's going to be super strong in 2022 for a couple of reasons. They believe that as the mortgage forbearance ends, many of those people will choose to sell their homes and then rent their new home. And they also believe as the pandemic ends, people are going to start to move to either cities where renting is more popular, or they may be moving because of work and choose to rent first instead of buying. Regardless, they believe the rental market is going to skyrocket and prices are going to increase by 7%. The only thing that Zillow really had to say about the rental market is that they believe that large rentals will still be in high demand. They believe that rising home prices will impact the rental market as well. As rising costs make it harder to save for a down payment, they expect demand for the larger rentals to increase, including single-family homes, as people tend to stay now in rentals longer. I find this next prediction really interesting. Redfin thinks that homebuyers are going to relocate in 2022 to affordable cities like Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, over the Sun Belt. It's true that in 2021, the Sun Belt cities of Austin, Atlanta, and Phoenix dominated the housing industry, and their prices skyrocketed. So I do understand why people may not want to move to these cities in 2022. They've simply become unaffordable at the prices they are now. But I do find it interesting that Redfin points to some northern cities that they think that home buyers are going to be attracted to. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything about these cities. In fact, I've been to Columbus, Ohio, and it's a very, very cool place. Now, Zillow says that the Sun Belt surge is going to extend to secondary markets. So though they agree with Redfin that the hot cities like Austin and Phoenix have become too expensive when people are looking for affordable places to live, they think that the people will move to more affordable cities within the sunny states. They mentioned the smaller Florida metros of Sarasota and Fort Myers as two examples of things to come. The next bold prediction has to do with why people will move in 2022. Redfin believes that people are going to move because they're going to go to places that are more aligned with their politics. They even did a recent survey that confirmed that a substantial amount of homebuyers refuse to live in a state where the laws conflict with their political beliefs. Zillow thinks that work will play a key role in moving decisions. They believe that as people continue to work remotely, they may choose to move to one of those Sun Belt states, probably one of the more affordable ones, so they can upsize in their home and have more space. They even said that traditional retirement markets are likely to see an elevated demand. The next bold prediction is that Redfin thinks that the condo demand is going to take off in 2022. They think that dense housing will make a comeback. The people will want to move into the city like they did pre-pandemic. I gotta say, with this latest literally in real time surge of Omicron, I don't think this is going to happen in 2022. I think people still want their space. Zillow thinks that Gen Zers and millennials will buy a second home before buying a primary residence. Now, I put that in quotes because they don't literally mean they think they're going to buy two homes. They just think that they are going to prefer to buy a vacation home or an income property over putting their money into their primary residence. And once again, I do agree with this because I still think people want to have that space and outdoor space, and it's a priority right now. As you can see, their bold predictions are quite different in most of the categories. And I actually looked into their sources and they're pretty impressive. When I put all of this together in my blog, I will cite all the sources that Zillow and Redfin use to create these forecasts. So for me, I think you can kind of tell that I'm really aligning more with Zillow's forecast for 2022. And I say this with a little bit of surprise because at the beginning of this video, I told you in the last 18 years, I've been very disappointed in Zillow's values of home prices in different areas. So I'm pretty surprised that when it comes to making a market forecast for 2022, that they're the opinions that I'm most aligned with. I hope that you got something out of this video. If you have any questions about anything I talked about today or any day, feel free to call, email, text, morning, afternoon, night. And if you're thinking about relocating to Maryland or DC or anywhere in the country, please feel free to contact me and my team. We would love to help you make that transition as smooth as possible. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and tell a friend. I do appreciate it. Thanks for watching and happy holidays. Bye.